Welcome, everyone. This is the Music News Power Hour, our Friday week in review, where we look around the World Wide Web for headlines that pertain to music and the music industry, present them here for you. Feel free to join our discussion by raising your hand if we're reading a headline that you'd like to discuss with us. You can also ping your friends into the room using the plus sign at the bottom of the room, or if you're watching on our video stream, chime in on chat. By visiting our website, you can watch our video stream. You can also follow along with our headlines, and you can register for free for all kinds of updates. Our website is musicindustrycity.com. Hang with us here for just a couple more seconds. We're going to be beginning our countdown and our headlines here shortly, but I wanted to quickly say hello and good day to Angela. How are you, Angela, our UK correspondent?
Hi, Eli. Sorry, I was just pinging my friends in, as I recommend everyone should do.
And let's all do that now as our countdown begins. Welcome to the Music News Power Hour.
It's Friday, the 2nd of July, and this is the Music News Power Hour on the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. I'm Peter Schwing, and please join me in welcoming my co-host Eli Window and UK correspondent Angela Randall.
Happy Friday.
Hello from the sunny shores of the United Kingdom.
Right on, welcome. And in today's news, a company backs out of Britney Spears' co-conservatorship. New York City's Central Park mega concert lineup announced. UK government preparing to offer event insurance. DistroKid adds Dolby Atmos to their distribution. And TikTok extends their video links. And as always, our daily Spotify update. Those stories coming up. But first, let's take a look at this day in music history with Eli Window. Eli.
All right, let's take a look at this day in music history. On this date, 2007, we lost lyricist Hy Zarette, who wrote the words for the song Unchained Melody. He died at his home in Westport, Connecticut, aged 99. The song Unchained Melody, which does not feature the word unchained in the lyrics, has been recorded over 300 times and actually is somewhat of an American standard in memory. On this date, 2018, we lost Alan Longmuir from Scottish pop band Bay City Rollers. He died aged 70 after contracting an illness while on holiday in Mexico in memory. Moving on, birthdays today, born July 2nd, 1937, David Palmer, the keyboard player for Jethro Tull. Born on this date, 1952, Johnny Colla, guitar and sax from Huey Lewis and the News. Born this date, 1954, Pete Burkett, bassist and vocalist with the Boomtown Rats. And born this date, 1989, American singer-songwriter, rapper, Devin Talley, better known as Dev. Moving on to this day in music history. On July 2nd, 1962, Jimi Hendrix was honorably discharged from the 101st Airborne Paratroopers after breaking his ankle during his 26th and final parachute jump. On this date, 1979, Sony introduced the Walkman, the first portable cassette audio player. Over the next 30 years, they sold over 385 million Walkmans in cassette, CD, minidisc, and digital file versions. Sony were the first market leaders until the arrival of Apple's iPod and other new digital devices. On this date, 1982, Nikki Heaton of The Clash was remanded on bail, charged with stealing a bus stop worth £30 from London's Fulham Road. And on this date, 1991, Axl Rose caused a riot to break out during a Guns N' Roses gig after leaping into the crowd to remove a camera from a fan at the River Point Amphitheater, Maryland Heights. Over 50 people were injured and 15 fans were arrested. And that's it for On This Day in Music History. I guess the moral of the story is don't have a camera when they say don't have a camera, right?
Well, you've seen in the past, I mean, Lady Gaga and I think it was Metallica. Like, there's been a lot of artists, especially more in the recent year or so, that has been like saying, no, we don't want photography. Tool, you aren't even allowed to take your phone out at a Tool concert. And which, a lot of people, everybody was cool about that. And then they say on their last song, they're like, all right, everybody take out your phone. and which creates an amazing, I think it's brilliant because it creates such a great, like everybody's like hashtag, all of a sudden you know who's at a tool show. I think that actually works as a great marketing tool. It's like all of a sudden everybody gets to see the same song and like just
I
all the
agree.
different angles.
I agree. I think that's great. I went to a wedding recently where the guests were told not to use their cell phones to take pictures. I thought that was a little extreme. Let's leave that for concerts, maybe.
Right on. All right, well, let's get into the news read. This is where we summarize the most essential news in the fast-paced music industry. I'd also like to thank everyone who is viewing the show on our video live stream. How you doing, everybody? And also in Green Room. And we will be doing the after-show party hangout in Green Room after this. I know Angela is also logged in over there. And just want to say hi to everybody in the Green Room. To stay up to date on this and other music programming, you can register for free at musicindustrycity.com to obtain access to exclusive content. And remember to follow all our co-hosts and commentators as they take the stage. And with that being said, let's get to it. All right, and this first piece is from NME.com. And if you want to access all the articles that we cover throughout the week and today, you can go to musicindustrycity.com. And when you get to musicindustrycity.com, click on the graphic that says show notes. And then you can scroll down. You can see links to our podcast for the Daily Brief. We also just added blog posts so you can quickly access. It's kind of like a mini website in a Google Doc. So it doesn't look that great. We tried to tidy it up, but it's still a Google Doc. But you can check out all the headlines there along with our monthly playlists. The company set for Britney Spears' co-conservatorship backs out after learning of her objection. I've been avoiding talking about Britney, but to see this finally happening, we're seeing some change there. So the wealth management firm that was intended to co-conserve Britney Spears' estate with her father, James, has requested to withdraw from it. Bessemer Trust, which manages more than $100 billion in assets across its portfolio, filed a new court motion on July 1st requesting to be released from the agreement. According to the New York Times, the trust referred to the public outrage against the conservatorship as, quote, changed circumstances, and indicated that it previously was ignorant of Britney's objection to the conservatorship. Last Monday, June 23rd, the singer testified that she wanted the, quote, abusive arrangement to stop without further investigation. Bessemer Trust alleges in its court statement that it was told Britney's conservatorship was voluntary and that she had agreed to the business functioning as a co-conservator. Part of the court filing reads, quote, as a result of the conservatee's testimony at the June 23rd hearing, however, petitioner has become aware that the conservatee objects to the continuance of her conservatorship and desires to terminate the conservatorship. According to Variety, documents filed by the Los Angeles Superior Court show that a judge refused Britney's lawyer Sam ID's Ingham III's month-old motion to remove Jamie as a conservator. According to the documents, the court determined Britney to be, quote, substantially unable to manage his or her financial resources or to resist fraud or undue influence. Hashtag free Britney. All right, so let's go to Eli. I think, did you have something there? I saw you.
I was just going to say, we have held off on talking about Britney, but this has been in the news. And so this, I'm sure this is a piece that some of our listeners will want to discuss at some point. This has been buzzing around a lot, but we haven't covered it too much. This is an interesting headline for us here. I'm curious to know what others think.
Right. Yeah, I was trying to stay away from like the pop culture, but when you see the concern, like the company says, "Hey, no, we're out of here." Now things, are we're looking at a different angle here. So,
right, it's a little more newsworthy. I love it.
Yeah,
Thanks, Peter.
yeah.
Thanks for this
So,
headline.
Yeah. All right. Bruce Springsteen, Paul Simon, Jennifer Hudson announced for Central Park concert. And the plans for New York City's forthcoming mega concert, which will feature performances by many musical giants in Central Park to commemorate the city's post-coronavirus rebirth, have begun to take shape. Mayor Bill de Blasio said on Thursday that Bruce Springsteen, Paul Simon, and Jennifer Hudson will play at the event, which was announced in early June as part of the New York City's homecoming week. The mayor did not provide an update on a possible date for the performance, but when the performance was first announced, industry great Clive Davis, who is booking it, claimed it will feature 8 performances performing over 3 hours for a physical audience of 60,000 and a global live stream. With the additions of Springsteen, Simon, and Hudson, the lineup appears to be nearly complete. And according to one industry insider, Patti Smith may join Springsteen during his set. Mayor de Blasio goes on to say this will be one of the greatest Central Park concerts in history, something for the ages. And the Central Park concert will continue the city's resumption of live activities, which is already well underway. All right, Central Park will be packed for that one. Over the course of this year and last, we've seen a lot of these award shows, suffering ratings. And this one goes on with the BET Awards. Hits all-time ratings low, joining a disastrous Grammys, Oscars, and AMA showings. And this is from Digital Music News. And this one starts off with the question of what are the implications for award ceremonies, particularly music award events? Now, a dismal ratings performance at the BET Awards raises even more concerns about the format. Despite a slew of superstars and the return of a live audience, the BET Awards couldn't avoid the viewing issues that plague other award shows. According to audience figures published today by the network and producer Jesse Collins Entertainment, the simulcast of the 2021 BET Awards reached 2.4 million total viewers, a significant decrease from last year's 3.7 million. That's an all-time low for the venerable awards show, which debuted in 2001. Now, the BET Awards have become the latest award show to achieve all-time lows, casting further doubt on the once reliable award structure. In terms of viewership, the gala drew 2.4 million people from multiple Viacom CBS channels, including BET, BET Her, MTV, MTV2, Logo, TV Land, and VH1. Another idea is that award ceremonies format is becoming outdated for modern audiences. The long-winded speeches and endless backslapping did little to excite viewers at the Oscars, especially given the thousands of other media options available on multiple screens. Similarly, the Grammys, with their endless speeches and onstage performances, are beginning to feel a little dated. The narrative also depicts a shift towards social media, which is more difficult to capture and monetize. According to BET, the awards drew 10.2 million social interactions, an increase of 83% year over year, and a 64% increase from 2019. Hashtag BET Awards was also the most popular hashtag on Twitter for 5 hours in a row. However, the excitement did not transfer into usual ratings increases.
Yeah, the most I saw about this, in fairness, Peter, was a lot of snaps of the red carpet. There were some really amazing looks that were on show. And Cardi B, of course, announcing that her and Offset are expecting their second child during her performance. But it wasn't, certainly wasn't the you have to see this performance type buzz that we have gotten from this show and from other award show like it in the past. It also threw me a little that it was broadcast across all Viacom channels. I mean, we don't get any of those. I mean, we get all the channels, but we don't get the broadcasts in real time here in the UK when they're actually on. But I did happen to notice. I follow a few of the channels. Instagram pages, and MTV was showing clips of it. So it just seemed a bit strange that the BET, which I know used to be a TV show or TV channel rather, and I thought still was, that network was broadcasting across all of them. But if they're trying to get viewership, that's one way to do it, I suppose.
Was it the Grammys did the YouTube live stream outside of the U.S. or Oscars? One of them attempted because one of the biggest complaints is that people, the cord cutters, not on cable, and they don't want to sit on their phone watching an entire, or their laptop watching an entire award show. I mean, it's small screen. They want more digestible content. Is this what we're seeing as the shift?
I think it would make sense for them to start looking into these options and making it a bit more palatable. I mean, one recommendation I did see that for an award show, I can't remember which one. It's just floating out of my head. I can Google it. Where they were thinking about having the accept the thank yous sort of flashing in a chat box, sort of next to the screen, so that if you were watching it online, they would just come up and accept their award. Thanks very much, and it would say the artist would like to thank, and then list the names of the people. It was a sort of a smaller award show, but something something that they were trialing. I don't know if that would interest anyone, but it might just cut down on the backslapping as is recommended in the article.
Yeah, well, and maybe the watch parties aren't that big on Clubhouse, or shall we say listening parties. With that being said, AIM and She Said.so launched new partnership. The two have formalized their long-standing relationship with a new collaboration that brings together the two groups they represent, independent music businesses and women and gender minorities working in the music industry around the world. According to the release, both companies, quote, share a mission of uniting and empowering underrepresented communities in music to create a more equitable industry and level the playing field in music. The memberships of the two organizations will be brought closer together as a result of this new cooperation, sharing expertise, knowledge, and their contacts. She Said.so's 2019 Alternative Power 100 music list was unveiled during that year's AIM Connected conference, honoring a variety of spectrum of music creatives and industry leaders, including the COO, G. Davey. AIM and She Said So are providing discounts, speaking chances, and other perks to each of those communities. It also gives them access to knowledge and skills throughout bursaries and discounted tickets to AIM events, such as its flagship music industry conferences and AIM Academy program. It's good to see that, building up the support in the UK with the organizations. And speaking of UK, let's go check in with Eli before we head over.
All right, let's check in with me. We want to invite you to check in with your friends. So go ahead and ping your friends into the room if you haven't done so already. Your friends can join the discussion just like you can by using the hand raise icon at the bottom of the room or by chiming in chat if you're watching us on our video live stream. If you're listening and you'd like to be watching on our video live stream, you can do that by visiting our website and do all kinds of other things. Register for free and get access to other incredible content, and also follow along with our show notes. Be sure to visit our website for that and more. Our website is musicindustrycity.com. Also, don't forget we are here at 12 Eastern each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with all the music news that you care to listen to and discuss. We are the Music News Power Hour. And with that, we want to take a look at our next headline. We see here the government is preparing to offer live event insurance from the 19th of July. And with more on this headline, we go to our UK correspondent, Angela Randall. Angela?
Yeah, a little bit more from the Power of the People here in the UK. During DCMS parliamentary questions this 1st of July, the Secretary of State for Digital, Culture, Media and Sport, also known as the DCMS, stated that the government intends to provide cancellation insurance for the live event industry beginning on 19th of July if the commercial market is unable to provide it. He did not, however, say whether reopening instructions would be provided in the near future. When asked by Cardiff Central MP Joe Stevens for a, quote, clear yes or no answer on whether the government would fund a time-limited insurance policy for the live events business, Dowden stated his department was working with Treasury on the concept. Quote, I very much understand the industry's desire for insurance, and I have engaged with them. I've said all along that as with film and TV insurance, the first step is to get all the other restrictions removed, and we're making very good progress towards that on the 19th. At that point, if it is the case that there is a market failure, namely that the commercial insurance providers cannot insure for that, we will look at whatever we can extend insurance with some sort of government-backed scheme, end quote. Stevens also used the opportunity to question the Secretary of State if event organizers might expect reopening rules to be issued in the near future. Quote, businesses have had 15 long months of this chaos. Dowden won't confirm insurance now, and he won't publish guidance. So can he explain how festivals and live events scheduled for after the 19th of July can go ahead? End quote. The response was, quote, we've always said that if we will clarify and confirm that at least a week in advance, that would be by the 12th of July, end quote. In terms of broader support, festivals have received millions of pounds through the Cultural Recovery Fund, and one of our events research program pilots is, of course, related to a festival. According to the London Evening Standard, venues and events will be permitted to reopen on the 19th of July without the need for attendees to produce proof of a negative COVID-19 test or vaccination. We'll, of course, keep you up to date on this as more information develops. That date, the 12th of July, is when Dowden explained that he would clarify and confirm any additional guidance. The government's been relatively good about providing guidance for things like sport and schools. So fingers crossed we get the same treatment. However, given their past track record in the last few weeks, I can't say I'm holding my breath. And in fairness, we're going to give them the opportunity to do so. But if the 19th of July doesn't become the Freedom Day we've all been hoping for, many of the people in this industry are going to be in a lot of hot water. So let's hope that everything comes together as it should, and there's some guidance available or insurance available for those who need it the most. With that, back to you, Peter.
And I mean, with that, I mean, you mentioned that the track record hasn't been that good for live music in the last few weeks. It hasn't been for the last few months or 7 months. They've been begging and pleading for insurance since December and January. And to say, well, if you want us to be able to potentially have a festival concert series ready to go, we need the security that we can cancel it and not have to pay the penalty, because you can't give us any guidance on when the opening date is. And then when you do give us an opening date, you then change it for 4 weeks later.
Yeah, I mean, the difference, it's a bit odd. It's always seemed a bit odd to me that the same department that does digital culture and media and sport are the ones that are handling this, because for a lot of sporting events, especially in this country, there's already infrastructure in place. There's stadiums, there's bathrooms in place, there's vendors, there's concession stands. I mean, you either have the event and staff it, or you don't have the event and staff it, and you can kind of get those things popped up and running under 2 weeks notice. But with something like an outdoor festival, I mean, you're looking at all sorts of preparatory things that need to come into play, and it just seems as though they just don't understand what it really involves. So people have to kind of either say that there isn't enough time between now and their event to plan it and hope that the government keeps their promise, or that they have to take a risk. And without insurance, those kinds of risks can be so costly, and in some cases, business ending and career ending.
Yeah, setting up a festival grounds is not like cleaning up the house and inviting a few people over for a house party. And with
For
that
sure,
being
it isn't.
yeah, with that being said, so let's say just one more on the UK, because this one, while maybe the government isn't doing so much to help support, there are other organizations, and this one is Music Support and TPG launch addiction and recovery awareness training. The tour production group, TPG, has commissioned Music Support, a charity that assists UK music industry personnel suffering from mental illness and or addiction, to give addiction and recovery awareness training. Donations totaling approximately £20,000 have been supplied by contributors like Backup Tech, Massive Attack, Hypnosis Songs, We Need Crew, and Rocket Cargo. A bursary program has also been established to allow 100 touring freelancers working in the technical and production sides of the industry to attend the free training. TPG has sponsored online weekly talks about topics affecting the touring business since its establishment. Susie Green, the tour manager, and Nick Gosling, the production manager, are the mental health and personal well-being facilitators. Norman Beecher, a senior learning and development music consultant at Music Support, created the 4-hour course. Although Music Support stated that the course is appropriate for anyone who has completed the 2-day mental health first aid program, it also stated that it is open to learners with no prior mental health training or understanding. Green added, quote, after a number of TPG members completed mental health first aid training, we felt a separate short course in addiction and recovery awareness would be really beneficial. And from the UK, we're just going to go down under for a quick update in Australia, which has seen openings, closings, and this one is a COVID outbreak cancels festivals in Australia. And we got this one from polestar.com, and you can follow along with all the articles and links and headlines at musicindustrycity.com and click on the show notes graphic, and that'll take you all to the to the articles. 2 festivals were canceled after a coronavirus outbreak shut down Sydney until July 9th. COVID eruptions occurred in other states as well. Splendor in the City, a collaboration between Splendor in the Grass and New South Wales government to revitalize foot traffic in Sydney and offer employment in the live music industry, was canceled on June 28th. Organizers stated, quote, "It has become impossible to progress with plans to move artists and staff around the country and also to build the event in Sydney. It was impossible to postpone because Splendor takes place in Byron Bay in November. Trip the Switch, which was scheduled to take place on July 3rd at Willowbank Raceway in Ipswich, Queensland, was also canceled on June 27th. Already rescheduled for February 2021, it was forced to cancel due to the inability of Sydney performers such as headliners Icehouse, The Angels, and Shannon Knoll, as well as their crews, to enter the state." And with that, let's move over to some tech news. This one's nice quick update from Hypebot. DistroKid adds DIY Dolby Atmos distribution to Apple Music and Tidal. This goes on. While TuneCore has stated that it is working on adding spatial audio distribution, DistroKid is the first major service to offer it and the DIY creators community. Avid Play, a much smaller DIY distributor, added the ability to post Dolby Atmos spatial audio recordings to Amazon and Tidal in July. DistroKid artists simply select Dolby Atmos delivery from their dashboard and pay a one-time cost. Simple enough. Angela, I know you're a fan of DistroKid.
Well, I've become one. Like I said, when I worked with the label about a decade ago, I was exclusively with CD Baby because they did physical, and obviously the streaming services weren't in existence weren't in existence when I was running the label. So the last thing I did was with DistroKid. It was about 10 years ago. Yeah, they've come a long way since then, for absolute sure. And it seems like they're at the forefront. They've been making all of the right moves as far as partnerships and putting themselves in a position to help artists with or without labels, with or without representation, to get their music out there to TikTok, to Spotify, and now at the best possible quality. So good on them.
Yeah, right on, right on. All right, Slack. Let's talk about Slack because it's getting a Discord-like audio feature called Huddles. And Slack is the most recent firm to embrace real-time audio. Huddles, a Discord-like chat function, is being introduced by the messaging app. The feature, together with new collaboration capabilities for sharing pre-recorded audio and video, are intended to provide an alternative to the endless stream of meetings that have dominated many office workers' calendars during the pandemic, according to the business. Huddles enables Slack users to organize spontaneous meetups via direct messages or in an existing channel. When a participant initiates a huddle, other participants can easily instantaneously join and speak in real time, just as in Discord. According to Slack, the functionality is a sustainable alternative to voice or video conversations because it allows employees to rapidly talk without the need to plan a meeting. Huddles, according to Tamar Yehoshua, the company's chief product officer, are similar to the kinds of unexpected chats that happen in offices but don't happen as often with remote work. And the software already allows users to swap video files within chats, but the new tool takes it a step further. And this goes back kind of a little to the article that we discussed, Eli, the other day was, hey, Slack, email, Discord, instant message, which one do we want to communicate on?
You're on Instagram and you got 3 different inboxes there: primary, general, requests. Yeah, don't forget all your inboxes. Make yourself a to-do list on those inboxes and get on Huddles.
And we'll have a pop-up meeting on Huddles to ask you if you got my email. All right, we have one more on the TikTok here. TikTok extends maximum video length to 3 minutes. And previously, creators were limited to 60-second uploads. The TikTok creators will soon be able to publish videos of up to 3 minutes in length, a significant increase from the existing 1-minute limit, which requires creators to speed through recipes or split up story times into numerous posts. Quote, creators on TikTok are already well-versed in weaving multi-part stories together, as we all know the phrase like and follow for part 3, but we often hear from creators that they'd love just a little more time to bring their cooking demos, elaborate beauty tutorials, educational lesson plans, and comedic sketches to life with TikTok's creative tools, said Drew Kirchhoff, TikTok's product manager. He goes on to say, with longer videos, creators will have the canvas to create new or expanded types of content on TikTok with the flexibility of a bit more space. The increased video duration will be available to all producers internationally in the coming weeks. But Kirchhoff also highlighted that a few creators have already been allowed to experiment with the format. When creators are able to upload longer videos, they will receive a notification on their app. And he goes on to say, with all the ways our community has redefined expression in under 60 seconds, we're excited to see how people continue to entertain and inspire with a few more seconds and a world of creative possibilities. More stuff on TikTok. Instagram has their reels that they took from TikTok. I mean, all this going on is just, we'll see. And Instagram is now feeling the crunch, and they're going to start focusing more on video. So we're going to see how this all rolls out. I mean, maybe, TikTok is saying, like if Instagram's looking at longer format with IGTV, I think they're just swapping things now. That's what it just seems like. It's like, oh, you got something? All right, we'll come up with that again, and we'll come up with our version in 6 months, which seems how to be everything is going. And with that being said, let's...
Big green dot, it's the spot.
It is the Spotify spot, the big green dot. It does hit the spot. We are looking at digital streaming and music technology. But first, we want to take a look at your weather update for all of our listeners around the globe. This update actually comes to us from one of our listeners and our viewers. Hi, Mike. I hope you're checking us out today. This one's for you. In weather news today, doctor says you're cured, but you still feel the pain. Aspirations in the clouds. Don't let your hopes go down the drain. And over to you, Peter, for the Spotify spot.
What a way to end the week. All right. So with the Spotify spot, and this one is from more on that controversial discovery mode. And at this time, if there are some people in the audience that would like to come up for a roundtable to discuss anything that happened in the news today, offer some commentary, some thoughts, feel free to raise your hand so you can join the stage over here in Clubhouse. And then afterwards, we'll be going to Green Room for a little bit for the after show conversation. With that being said, this one comes from Music Business Worldwide. And again, all the articles are in the show notes, musicindustrycity.com. Click on the show notes graphic. Title of it is Indie Labels Loathe Spotify's Discovery Mode, but DIY Giants Are Loving It. Spotify debuted its controversial Discovery Mode function late last year, allowing artists to benefit from increased algorithmic plays on the platform in exchange for accepting a lower royalty fee for the streams in issue. This concept does not sit well with everyone, especially indie labels. While not mentioning Spot's new feature directly, European indie label group Impala urged in March for a stop to music streaming payola, criticizing digital platforms that provides right holders cheaper payments in exchange for privileged treatment in algorithms or other features. Meanwhile, the American Association of Independent Music, A2IM, has claimed that Discovery Mode, quote, brings into question the credibilities of Spotify's recommendation engine. Last month, the Artists' Rights Alliance in the U.S. directly linked Discovery Mode to payola. The U.S. House Judiciary Committee has expressed concern about Discovery Mode, asking Daniel Ek what, quote, safeguards Spotify is putting in place to guarantee the tool doesn't lead to a race to the bottom where only the practical way to get recommendations is to accept a reduced royalty. Now, two big leaders in the DIY independent artist community have spoken on Discovery Mode, and in contrast, it receives support from both parties. TuneCore and its Paris-based parent company Believe stated that they've been working with Spotify over the previous 6 months to test Discovery Mode with a number of artists. Believe is so enthusiastic about the technology that it is now investing in, quote, building a dedicated data and digital marketing intelligence platform in order to identify artists and tracks with the best chance of success in Discovery Mode. Its enthusiasm can be related to the following. According to new Spotify data released, artists with tracks in Discovery Mode have found over 40% more listeners on average compared to pre-Discovery Mode, and 44% of those new listeners had never listened to the artist before. Also, in a case study released by Spotify for Artists depicts Natalie Perez's, an indie musician signed to Believe, her experience working with Discovery Mode, and Believe claims that in December it turned on Discovery Mode for 33 tracks by Perez, who now has over 600,000 monthly Spotify users. And that is it for the Spotify spot and our tech reads. Any thoughts on this one?
Well, I think I remember a certain UK correspondent saying something about how this was all going to play out, and it sort of very much looked similar to this a few months ago when they first announced that they were doing this discovery mode. And I mean, you can't knock the idea that the study is probably accurate. That of course, being featured and being shoved through the algorithm will get your song more plays and get it noticed. But the part that everyone has a problem with is that it's for a lower royalty fee when it feels like Spotify should position itself to be in a place to be backing some of these artists to be pushed forward in those algorithms based on merit and not taking a lower royalty fee. I mean, it still reeks of pay to play, and like Artist Rights Alliance specified payola. I mean, it's not a new concept. It's a concept that's been tried and failed and was sort of legislated against over in previous distribution methods. This is just a new one. The bit though that sort of rubs me the wrong way is that Believe and TuneCore are positioning themselves as though they are DIY and independent artists rather than the community of artists, and by virtue of that are a larger group and have more power as a larger group to be able to build a dedicated data and digital marketing intelligence platform. It's not quite the same as, a few indie DIY artists sitting around together at their local Starbucks and saying, it's been working great for me. We should tell everyone about how great it's been working, and them being quoted in this article. It just is a bit different. It hits different for me anyway. Maybe I'm just a cynic and an indie label gal at heart, but that's just how I felt about it when I heard it, and my opinion really hasn't changed.
At what point are you not considered like indie as a company? I mean, when you go public, if you're traded on a stock exchange, I mean, when you have that type of capital and resources, and like you said, you're not a bunch of indie musicians saying, okay, I'll take a lower rate and hopefully my second album that I just put out on my own label and I put out through DistroKid or something was going to get pushed up in there. I mean, they also have a marketing power to drive and the team and resources.
Yeah, and a bunch of those artists are probably not even aware of it in a real way. If they're working with Believe, they probably have a number of different revenue streams that are contributing to their overall income as it stands. And I don't imagine that, and I could be wrong. I've not worked with them directly, but it doesn't stand to reason that they're going to be issuing checks at a reduction to their artists and have them be excited about it, even despite getting X amount more listeners, because at the end of the day, it is the music business, not, they're not in it to solely reach new artists. They're to new listeners rather. They're into it to reach new listeners and potentially sell their music to more people in theory. So yeah, just the whole thing sounds a little gross.
So then what does one say to an artist that says, well, hey, if you wanted to hire a marketing team and to help you get playlists or get more exposure and get it out there and drive traffic to your streaming, well, you have to pay for marketing services anyway.
Yeah, but I think that when that in that case you're paying for a service, so you're acquiring someone who can be held accountable for not doing the job or for doing the job for argument's sake. Whereas Spotify doesn't, at least according to my understanding of the discovery mode, it doesn't make any guarantees. So potentially you could be pushed into these algorithms and be put in front of X amount more people, but it may not actually mean that you're going to be getting any real benefit because it's not as though they're recommending from a curator's point of view or a plugger's point of view where there's actually a belief and a conversation around the artist. It's just the algorithm, putting you in the driving playlist or the yoga playlist or the whatever playlist, and as a result, you're potentially getting in front of more people. It doesn't have the same sort of tailored accuracy that a service like that would.
Yeah,
offer,
but
I think.
marketing and publicity is never guaranteed results.
That's true. I mean, as a former marketer myself, I held myself to a sort of higher higher standard, I guess. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you aren't a very good marketer and don't get very good results, you're not going to be around for a very long time. Whereas I think Spotify is going to outlive the discovery mode one way or another.
Yeah. Interesting discussion on this. I mean, there's a few different sides on this, and as we see There are many that are against it and some that are for it. And we'll see how, like you said, like our UK correspondent said a while back, we'll have to see how this shakes out. With that being said, I do have one more article. I put it up there, and this is more of a PSA because as we're going back to live music, this is a reminder of hearing protection. And we added this article into the show notes, and this one it was from NPR. So I'm just going to paraphrase some of it. It's a decent length article, and there are some tips for this, but I'm just going to give you the overview just as a reminder that when you're going out, bring earplugs with you always. And the article starts off, tinnitus bothers millions of Americans. Here's how to turn down the noise. So tinnitus is the perception of ringing when in fact no external sound is being produced. And Sarah Sadlowski, a doctor of audiology at Cleveland Clinic, says you can equate it to a phantom sound. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that 20 million Americans have chronic tinnitus. And studies show that the pandemic ushered in both new cases and a worsening of the condition among people who already had it. The British Tinnitus Association reported a surge in the number of people accessing its services, including a 256% increase in the number of web chats amid the pandemic. And Eldra Bukes, an audiologist at Lamar University, said she wasn't surprised by the pandemic's effects. She quotes, "There is a link between increased stress and tinnitus either initiating or worsening." And her research goes on to show that people with pre-existing tinnitus who experience loneliness, isolation, and increased worries were most likely to report a worsening during the pandemic. So, and as we're getting back out, I mean, I can say I was a live sound engineer, and going back to my 20s, and I would mix with the earplugs in these small venues, and people would say they didn't like seeing me with earplugs, and they'd be like, "How are you going to mix with earplugs?" And I said, "Come back to me after the second song, and if you still don't like it, I'll take the earplugs out." But especially drummers, musicians, being around those transients, loud, even like the small, it doesn't have to be those big foamy ones, those little wax ones where you can just put a little in. And also the great thing about earplugs is when you're in a loud space, it's those people yelling in your ear, and you get that, they pop your eardrum by blowing so hard into your ear. It's like this helps protect that too, and you can hear them better. So just take care of your ears, please.
Definitely, definitely. I want to chime in and say that these are the only ears you're going to get. You only get the one pair, and unfortunately, you can't have them replaced. And so, definitely do take care of them. If you're a musician who is playing on stage at any decibel level, I want to echo what Peter said and really highly encourage you to use filters, not even the foam earplugs if you're a musician on stage, because you will need to be able to hear a frequency sweep. But if you use filters that are designed for musicians, and they don't have to be very super expensive, that will allow you to hear everything you need to hear on stage without subjecting you to a lot of the damage. I have a great pair of filters that I paid about $35 for. They're better than the little foam squishies. They fit my ears just right, and I keep them in a little case in my purse, and I just carry them around with me wherever I am. I have those filters with me, and they work great as earplugs, but they also let me still hear well enough to sing while I'm performing on stage, and I can wear filters on stage. It's a great idea. Musicians, protect your hearing. Audience members, protect your hearing. But I see also we have Jamie who joined us on the stage. Hi, Jamie. Good to see you. Happy Friday.
Hi, everybody. I will happily chime in on that since you used the Cleveland Clinic and my friends over there that I've worked with for years. Um, Musicians, we all have them all sitting in bags or boxes or drawers at home. I literally took my hearing protection I take to shows every day, and I've done it for years, is an old pair of Shure E1s, the original in-ear monitors that everybody could get and buy. I cut them off the wire. I put them onto an old lanyard, shrink wrapped them on, and that is what sits in my bag and travels to every single gig with me because I know that they're silicone. I know that I can clean them, and I know that I can keep my ears happy and protected every time I go to a show. I work in a theater shop around tools and big heavy equipment, and it doesn't block out everything. The other part of that is be very careful with noise canceling headsets active noise canceling when you go into some environments that are already going to be loud.
Right on. I mean, it's so important. And, a lot of engineers I know when they're just tooling around the studio and they want to have it loud, they will put earplugs, like some kind of ear plugs in when they're just playing, not when they're doing their mix or things like that. But if they're tracking and or just goofing around, just getting different things, and they're testing stuff out, that they'll put it in just so they can crank it up without damaging their ears. I mean, the old running joke is, a recording engineer says what?
Yeah, I've done room tests where we've had the meters at 124 dB. So if you think about that, might as well go put your head right next to the gas mower or into the jet engine. Would you do that? Why are you going to sit in a venue with that?
Well, and to put that into perspective, a jet engine landing on the runway is 97 dB. So that's way above what a jet engine would be if you were standing out on the runway when a Boeing jet came in for a landing right next to you. So it's so, so, so important to put those filters on, wear those filters, whether you are attending a concert, whether you're in a loud environment, whether you're in a workspace, or whether you're a musician performing on stage. Absolutely. Thanks for that, Jamie. And Jamie's suggestion is using an old pair of in-ear monitors that are not working anymore as filters for your ears. They will fit your ears, they're cleanable, and they will allow you to hear what you need to hear while still protecting your hearing. So great suggestion, Jamie. We want to remind you too, as we wrap up today's Music News Power Hour, that we are here each and every weekday at 12 Eastern. We are all the music news that you care to listen to and discuss from the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. You can visit our website to chime in by sharing articles. You can visit our website to register for free for all kinds of incredible content. You can visit our website to follow along at home, or visit our website if you'd like to join us in our video stream. And we want to say hi once again to everybody in our video stream today. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, we are also on Green Room. We're moving the after party to Green Room, so join us there as we wrap today's Music News Power Hour. And don't forget, you can join us right here each and every weekday at noon Eastern time for all the music news you care to listen to and discuss. We are the Music News Power Hour. My name is Eli Window, and on behalf of our UK correspondent, Angela Randall, I want to say thanks so much for joining our broadcast and our discussion today and our roundtable. We hope to see you again on Monday at 12 Eastern. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Angela. And I want to say thank you also to my co-host, Peter Schwing. Thanks, Peter, and happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, and thank you to everybody. We appreciate you hanging out with us during the week here at the Music News Power Hour. And for the people that chime in or send me articles as well, give us those tips. So thank you. We really appreciate it. And I wish everybody a great weekend as we head over to Green Room. And as a reminder, we do not have a show on Monday. It is in the U.S. here. We celebrate this thing they call the 4th of July weekend, aka Independence Day. But if you're from London, if you're from the UK, it's also Bullet Dodge Day or Happy Treason Day. You ungrateful colonists, colonists, whatever. So yeah, and but have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. And wear those earplugs if you're near fireworks. Those M80s are loud and send a shockwave. So, all right, everybody, have a great one. We'll see you on Tuesday. Have a bye.
Cheerio.
Cheerio. Happy Friday, everyone. We will see you next week on Tuesday. And happy 4th of July and happy Treason Day.